episode of Morgan Hasn't Seen. I am not Morgan, nor am I singing, but I have Morgan here with me. I'm Jeannine, and we're ready to talk about Hobbs and Shaw today to close out our Fast and Furious series. How are you doing today, Morgan?
I am wonderful. I have coffee. I'm great. No singing though, Jeannine.
No,
to
I'm sorry.
Start off the episode, which, to be honest, the people are probably very pleased about.
They love your singing. I'm sure they love it.
I think you do, and sometimes I do, and no one who listens to the show actually does. I have actually been told in private messages on
that
Instagram.
Nobody watches the show.
Well, also,
I'm just messaging you to tell you that I don't watch your show.
Well, joke's on you because you can't even watch the show because it's not a visual thing. Ha 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 ha.
Ha on you.
Ha. No, I had private messages telling me that they hate my singing and it's the worst thing they've ever heard in the history of the world since that one noise that Jim Carrey makes in Dumb and Dumber.
Who said that? I'll fight him.
It was one of those unnamed bot weirdness accounts that has a load of numbers and letters.
Seriously?
No, not seriously at all. I've made that up because everybody loves my singing. Yay! Okay. But yes, you are right. You are right, Jeannine. We are officially closing out our whole Fast and Furious series today.
Yes, this is our bonus episode.
Yeah.
Discussing Hobbs and Shaw. We spent many a week discussing 2 movies per week through the Fast and Furious franchise, which Morgan had never seen. He was dreading it. He was hating it. And then he watched these movies, and what happened?
What happened
Tell the
was
people.
that I'm telling the people. You're very pleased about this, by the way. I know for a fact you are very pleased about this. Yes, I became somewhat of a fan of the Fast and Furious movies. Don't ask me how it happened. In fact, to find out how it happened, you should really probably go and listen to the whole Fast and Furious series to hear my journey from watching the first one to now, essentially, having come out of the recently released Hobbs and Shaw, which is the least Fast and Furious movie of all Fast and Furious movies.
Well, to be fair, it is a spin-off.
It is a spin-off. It is a spin-off, but you can class Tokyo Drift as a half spin-off.
I suppose.
But it's not a full spin-off. It has story elements to it.
It's like
that
a
confuse the whole timeline.
It's like a mid-prequel.
It is a midquel.
Midquel.
That's exactly what it is. But no, Hobbs and Shaw is a straight spin-off. And it's only come out in the last week. And now it is time to wrap up the Fast and Furious series. All Morgan hasn't seen, talking about this movie. And Jeannine will also be announcing our next series at the end of the show.
We will.
And you're very excited about that one.
I am.
Which is a surprise because you are always excited about them.
Yes, it's
number
very,
one, because
it's very generational. So.
Well, maybe it's not. To be honest, yes, I suppose it is this one. I suppose this next one is the most generational, even though it's not like generational in the sense that, well, you know me, I'm weird because I basically miss a generation of movies, but know the stuff before it and after it.
Yes.
It's just like this weird 15-year period
that
that I'm just like, what? Things, And it's not as though I haven't seen anything. But of course, I haven't seen a lot of things, which is why we have this show.
Yes.
That's the whole point. But yeah,
And this might be actually our first departure from actual franchises and going into just specific genres.
That's very, very true.
So,
It is.
yeah.
It is our departure because we had the MCU, we had the Keanu Reeves John Wick one,
Yes.
the Will Smith Men in Black one,
Yes.
and we had this
Fast
one. So
and
yeah, it
Furious.
will be our first for season 5, series 5. Will be our first departure into a
Canon
genre,
based.
yeah, a genre focused
Yes.
situation rather than a franchise focused situation. But I think that series is going to be a lot of fun what we do next. But we still have to finish this one first.
Yes. So you'll find out more at the end of the show.
Yeah.
So continue listening if you really want to know.
Stick around for the end of the show to get a sneak preview onto... Yeah. It's a very formal announcement. But yes, Jeannine. Hobbs and Shaw, first off, what are your overwhelming thoughts about this particular movie?
So yes, it was definitely a departure from the Fast films. I thought, 8 was kind of going to set us up for what this movie could be because 8 went a little bit bonkers. Well, not a little bit, a lot of bit bonkers. And so I was expecting some over-the-top action and craziness, but still maybe some cameos from people from the franchises or something. Maybe a little bit more tie-ins, but I didn't get that. But it was still a very fun, crazy, action-packed movie, and it felt kind of like those silly, over-the-top action movies of like the 90s and the 80s. So I had fun with it. Plus, I mean, it didn't hurt looking at all the pretty men's, so.
I mean, yeah, there is that as well. I can, Statham, no, but
Yeah, Statham
some
is
people,
a pretty man.
Statham's way too intense and nasty. Statham is just
Nasty.
Statham's a nasty person.
What?
I have nothing to back. I'm sorry, Jason. I have nothing to back my
Back
opinion
your
up on
nasty
that.
claims. Okay.
About my nasty claims about Jason Statham.
Nasty. Nasty boys.
But yeah, I think that is probably the one word to describe the movie the best is just nuts and fun.
Nuts and fun.
Nuts and fun. Fun nuts. Nutty funness.
Nuts. What business
No.
you insult? Nuts.
Nuts.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Willy Wonka. That's a great line that people don't pick up on. I think just you, me, and Brandon really picked up on that. What business you insult? Nuts.
Do you know what's so special about that line? It is the contrast in character between Mr. Beauregard and Mr. Salt.
Mr. Salt, yes.
Mr. Beauregard, who loves his job but makes nowhere near as much money as Mr. Salt. But Mr. Salt, who hates his job and makes all the money.
Yes.
Mr. Salt is annoyed. Mr. Beauregard. And it's also British and American, and because we don't know where Willy Wonka is set, it just makes everything better, and this episode is not about Willy Wonka and the chocolate factory.
But you said nuts in that lovely
But I
accent,
said
so I
nuts.
couldn't not mention Mr. Salt and his exclamation of what he does by saying nuts. So this movie is fun and nuts.
It is nuts. But yeah, I like you was expecting some appearances from other Fast and Furious cast members. really I was expecting a Dom Toretto something. Because, like, how dare you not have Vin Diesel in them at some point? But then I realised that Vin Diesel wasn't, like, a producer on this particular one.
No, I think The Rock was, and Jason Statham were both
Yeah.
credited as producers. But I even thought maybe we would get some Owen Shaw, because, I mean, it's, like, about the Shaw family, and, like, Luke Hobbs is, like, with his whole family, so I thought maybe, they would call in Owen, so the whole Shaw family was together or something.
The best we get of Owen Shaw is a mention of the fact that he exists.
Yes.
Which is fine.
Them used to play together as kids and little flashbacks.
And obviously that's kind of where the movie starts, is with Helen Mirren comes back.
So do you think her
Mama
Cockney has her Cockney improved? I thought it improved slightly. It wasn't as annoying.
The thing, yeah. I don't know if it improved or that we were just used to it now.
Yeah.
So we just kind of, Helen Mirren's here, she's going to be doing that ridiculous accent again, and we'll just take it this time.
I'm telling you, I'll take that any day over Jerome Flynn in John Wick 3. Okay.
Yes, absolutely you will take it any day over Jerome Flynn in John Wick 3. But yeah, I mean, Helen Mirren wasn't exactly in it a lot, but, she sort of sets the whole family... Because, of course, this movie is about family still, very much so. In that sense, it is very much a Fast and Furious movie. She sort of sets off the whole Shaw family situation for the whole movie. With Vanessa Kirby, who is a new character playing Hattie Shaw.
What did you think of Vanessa Kirby?
I really like Vanessa Kirby. I was thinking throughout the whole movie that her and Mary Elizabeth Ellis, Mrs. Charlie Day, look very similar. There was times when there was certain shots when I thought they are identical, but then, Vanessa Kirby would start speaking and
be totally
not
different.
sound like she was from, anywhere else but the south of England.
Or London, where every British person is from.
I mean, boo, basically, to that.
Yes.
But yeah. No, I really like Vanessa Kirby. I thought she was a great addition. I want to see her in Fast 9. I want to see her in more Fast and Furious movies. If you're getting Deckard back in to the situation, bring Hattie as well.
Yes.
Because she can only add greatness. Because she was great in this.
I would love to make a comparison, but you've never seen any of these films, so it's kind of pointless. I mean, everybody is kind of comparing her to Rebecca Ferguson's introduction into the Mission Impossible franchise. She came in in Mission Impossible 5, and she was great. She was a standout. She was awesome, and you were like, I want to see her in more things. And sadly, your introduction to her is probably in Men in Black International, where she has an extra arm. But yes, eventually we will get to those movies, and you will see what I'm talking about.
I do remember when Mission Impossible 5. I do remember when Mission Impossible 5 was coming out, and everybody was going on and on about who's this Rebecca Ferguson that's absolutely killing it in this one. And obviously it didn't make me want to see a Mission Impossible movie because, Tom Cruise. But I do remember everybody going on about Rebecca Ferguson. So I understand the point you're making, even if I don't know the context.
And Vanessa Kirby actually is in Mission Impossible 6.
Well, there you go. It's all crossoveriness.
Yes. So eventually we will get there. And now you can trust me. You can trust me. You didn't want to do this franchise, and look how much fun you had. So,
is Tom Cruise in this franchise?
Shut up.
Is Tom Cruise in this franchise?
Maybe He could have
No,
been
no, he
driving a
isn't.
car. He could have been driving a car in the back. You don't know.
I do know. I do know that, because if he was, there would have been a big deal made.
Okay.
And if he
Well,
shows up in Fast 9, I'm going to be mad.
well, I would have thought by now you would have learned to trust me at this point. So you
I
really don't have a
trust you.
choice.
I do not trust Tom Cruise and his
Okay,
weird
that's
personal
it. We're
beliefs.
canceling the next series to do Mission Impossible, just so you can
No.
shut the hell up.
No, I'd much rather do the next series we
I
have.
think you guys would really love Mission Impossible, and then we could do a little poll, and we'd pick our bonus film as a Tom Cruise movie that Morgan hasn't seen, and
Which
yeah,
is
you guys.
essentially all of them bar like
Yes.
3.
So yeah, you guys could help us pick a Tom Cruise bonus film. I think that's a fun idea. You might have to.
You know what
figure
people
that
are
out.
saying now? You know what people who are listening to this are saying right after I've said that? They're thinking to themselves, what? He hasn't seen Top Gun? No. Why?
Yeah, it's not
Why,
seen Top Gun.
why would I
No.
see Top Gun? Why would I see Top Gun? I don't like planes, and I don't like Tom Cruise. And I don't like boats, which apparently it's about the Navy.
They're
Which
just
I found-
Navy pilots.
Navy pilot, so you know. I like Val Kilmer. I don't know.
Okay,
I like Tom
well,
Cruise.
you were dreading this series. You didn't want to do it, and now you're having a blast. So shut up.
It is true.
I
It's
make the rules
true.
here at Morgan hasn't seen. So you just
That is. Shush.
exactly.
Exactly. Yes.
So we digress. Let's get back
We do.
to the fun of this series that you enjoy so very much now.
The first half of this movie, you could really tell it was a David Leitch movie.
Yes.
You know, from what we know of him from John Wick and from like Deadpool too. It was with the fast hand-to-hand combat and the neon situation in certain scenes, and it really felt like a David Leitch movie. There was times when the action was a little too shaky. I felt that more towards the end, to be honest. But there was kind of a weird split about Hobbs and Shaw right after they escaped from that facility in Ukraine. And then that was like one movie, and then there was the second movie on the end of the first movie, which isn't a problem.
The Samoa part of the movie.
The Samoa part, and I happen to love all the Samoa thing. That was my absolute favourite time of the whole movie. Was everything that happened in Samoa with Hobbs's family, and again, family come into it. Everybody has it's a family story about both of them.
Yes, so if anything was brought over from Fast and Furious, it was definitely the family aspect, which was really nice.
Is also not at all surprising, considering that is what Fast and Furious is known for. It's not known for cars and racing anymore. It is known for Vin Diesel saying the word family.
It's getting better. It's getting better.
No, it's not. Vin Diesel wasn't in this movie, so I have no... That's a spoiler, I guess. Vin Diesel isn't in this movie, sorry. If it wasn't obvious, we may spoil some stuff about Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah.
But it's been out, it came out, for this weekend. So, if you haven't seen it yet, don't listen really any kind of further.
Until you've seen it, and then come back.
Or if you're not bothered. And if you're not bothered, then, yay, stay with us. Fun stuff.
Fun
stuff. But yeah, the first half was very, very David Leitch. The second half felt more Fast and Furious. Or the second... It's not even a half. It's more like in thirds. It's like the last third, the Samoa stuff, felt like a Fast and Furious movie. Because it felt like Fast 8.
And I feel like maybe there was a point there where The Rock felt like, I want to have a Chris Evans, Captain America, let's hold a helicopter moment. Were you not getting
Exactly.
some? Were you not getting some Captain America vibes from that?
That is precisely what I thought when Dwayne Johnson started pulling a helicopter.
With a chain, with his bare hands. I mean, he slid down a freaking wire cable with his bare hands.
Oh, yeah.
How did he
Don't
not
get me started on
burn
that.
his hands off? Like, he would
Your
have,
ha-
like, a
Yeah.
inches thick, like, wound sliced open in his hands doing that.
You wouldn't have any hands left
Yeah.
if you were doing that. But that's why we have to suspend our disbelief with silly movies like
But I
Hobbs
mean,
and Shaw.
he could have, like, taken his shirt off or something and slid down. I mean, that would have been very realistic.
He did take his shirt off later on in the movie. And as we all know, Dwayne Johnson is absurdly well built.
Yes.
To the point where he doesn't look like a human being.
But he's not nasty.
Nasty? I don't think he's nasty.
But you think Jason Statham is nasty?
I think Jason Statham is nasty because I think his voice is violent.
Well, that is reference in this movie because they were insulting each other
Which
incessantly.
was my favourite single part.
I was watching and I was like, oh my gosh, Morgan is going to love that insult about his voice, like making him want to drag his balls over glass or whatever he said.
Oh, it sounds like that. He said
Yeah.
it sounds like that. That was great. And obviously, in the last couple of Fast and Furious movies, we've got some, we've got some conversations between Hobbs and Shaw, some fairly insulting conversations between Hobbs and Shaw, where they tend to bicker a lot and don't like each other, and as soon as they meet up again in this movie, it's very funny, and they're just trading insults, and it's very fast-paced, and it's very nice. It's very, it's really entertaining, and that's another thing that that is this movie. It is just very, very entertaining. It doesn't have to make complete sense all the time. Like, why is Dwayne Johnson able to slide down a cable?
A wire cable that high for that long with his bare hands? Yeah.
It's just not. It's not something any human being can do.
And I'm not sure how many
point.
people also picked up on the Italian Job reference that Jason Statham made in this movie.
I remember a reference where the three of them, where Hobbs, Shaw, and Vanessa Kirby were walking into Shaw's or Deckard's little garage hideout situation thing, and there was that little Mini Cooper, and then he said, "Oh, that was for a job in Italy," and there was like, "Oh yeah, Italian Job, that was fun."
Because he was in the remake of Italian Job.
Oh, see, I didn't know he was in the remake of the Italian Job, because me being British, I've only seen the real Italian Job.
Yes. So, he was in the remake of the Italian Job with Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would I ever watch the remake of the Italian Job and not the
with
proper one?
The cipher villain, Charlize Theron.
Theron.
Yes, Theron. That's
Is how it's said. Yeah, obviously.
Theron.
Yeah.
But yes.
But yeah, that was fun, and ultimately the dynamic and the chemistry between The Rock and Statham is actually surprisingly great, and I thought it was good in the little instances we get in the last couple of Fast movies. But in this, they really work well together, and they don't seem like a couple of guys that would. And they don't seem like
they would at all, but they definitely have. I think that's why people saw potential in a spinoff with them instead of like maybe Roman and Tej, who are always kind of bickering.
Speaking of Tej, there was one thing, right? So when they're going to Samoa, when they're going to Samoa, and Hobbs is talking about, he's the best mechanic I know. He's my brother. What about Tej?
Well, Tej isn't really doing a whole lot of mechanicking in those movies.
That's what he is, though, right?
Yes, but all of a sudden he found time to be some super tech genius who can also fight and do all kinds of other shit. So, yeah, I don't know that Hobbs got to see him doing his mechanicking skills because he only saw him being a tech genius guy.
Fair enough. But no, as soon as he said that, I was like, whoa, this is prime.
He's already forgotten about the
family territory.
He's already forgotten about that.
Right at the start of the movie, he says, "Nah, I work alone." Well, that's a lie, Luke, because you've been working with
and
the
how many times have you called Vin and his family to come help you?
4 times, 4 times, 3 times. I can't count 4 times. 5. He was in 5. Hobbs was a slight antagonist in 5, but then he turned, yes. I remember now.
You do, because you enjoyed that movie very much. It's your favorite one, is it not?
It is. It is. Jason Statham. Likeable Jason Statham in this movie again. I enjoy Jason Statham in these movies. He is likeable, and he has, a tendency to not be so likeable, and mainly that is due to his voice and his demeanour. But for some reason, I get the idea that he's actually having fun.
Yes.
And I like that. I like that, Jason. You need to have more fun. You need to not be so serious all the time.
And I like his rapport with Vanessa Kirby. Like, you felt like they were brother and sister. And it was nice seeing, a family bond on that side and The Rock's family bond, too. Like, them kind of calling back to their things that they did when they were little kids and their little code names for their little heists and how that played into them. Yeah, how that played into them, like, doing the same things to get out of these situations. So, yeah, I liked their rapport. I liked how they all worked together.
There is one particular cast member we haven't even mentioned yet.
We haven't. So all of these movies have villains.
They do.
And this is no exception. So how did you feel about the villain in this movie? Played by Idris Elba.
I thought Idris Elba was way too good for this villain. If that makes sense.
What do you mean by that?
I think Idris Elba is incredible. I love Idris Elba in everything I see him in. I think he's a fantastic actor. I thought this villain was way too stupid for someone of Idris Elba's caliber. This villain was a Darth Vader Terminator machine man amalgamation.
Because he was Black Superman.
Because he was Black Superman. And I would believe Idris Elba being Black Superman. Idris Elba for Superman is the hashtag. I could see it. That makes sense. Idris Elba can play, put some glasses on him.
So what made him stupid to you?
Well, it's just that the character, not Idris at all. I think Idris is doing his usual stuff perfect.
Yeah, but I'm saying, what made the character stupid for you? The character of Brixton.
I like Brixton's little backstory with Shaw. I like the fact that they've got a bit of history. I liked that. I don't really like the fact that his name's Brixton, because he's from Brixton, and that's just a bit on the nose for me.
Yeah. At least it's not. They didn't make his name London.
But they wanted. I think they needed to be a little bit more specific. What are we gonna call him? England. Great, that's a name.
United Kingdom.
But yeah, it's just maybe it's because me, and when it comes to new sciencey technology, I clock out whenever I hear the word science. Sorry, Brandon. But yeah, it's just this whole situation of like Brixton being this half robot person, and that can somehow has these little Google glasses in his eyes
Google Glass.
that are telling him how hard the Rock's gonna punch him so he can dodge and punch him back.
Wow,
and I like the fact
you're not gonna like when we do our Terminator series.
No, probably not. But also, does it not kind of work in the Terminator because the Terminator is kind of slow and methodical? Brixton's just he's still very emotional.
He's not complete machine. They just replaced his spine and.
No, I know, but I'd rather have a machine man rather than a man machine.
So you don't want him to have any emotion or.
No, not if you're a machine. Okay. Unless it's in the movie I, Robot, in which that one robot has emotions and that's what makes him special.
Sonny!
Played by
Alan
Tudyk. Schmodown. Yes.
Yeah, I knew that. You did not even give me 5 seconds to answer that.
Well, I was answering it. That was the point.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. But no, I really liked Idris Elba. I just thought there was something off about. I didn't like the fact that there was. The villain. It seemed too sci-fi for a Fast and Furious movie. Basically, I think it would have worked in a more sci-fi movie. Absolutely. But ultimately, these are kind of action movies.
But I think that's kind of what their solution was to make a kind of unstoppable villain. Because it's the two of them are obviously very good fighters, and The Rock is so big, and Jason Statham is all fast, and whatever. So you need someone who's going to have that extra something that's going to actually be a challenge for them. So I think, they could have thought of a billion other things, but I think that's kind of what they were going for. They needed a villain that had a thing that these two guys who are already really, kind of unstoppable, that they would have trouble defeating.
I get that. And I did like how they did end up defeating him at the end.
That they both had to kind of one would distract him doing something so that the other one could get in there, because even though he is kind of enhanced, he's still human in many aspects. So it's not like he can kind of look two places at once or focus on two different things at once.
Yeah.
So I liked how they worked that into it. Like, it was really made it so that they would have to team up to defeat him. So while one person, and they slowed it down so you could kind of see what their plan was and how it was playing out. I did really like that. Yeah.
I actually really liked the slowing down as well. Yes. The super slow-mo of it. Like, yes, it's a little bit silly, but it's also very cool.
Yes.
And of
course,
I really like that.
Over-the-top action of 80s and 90s fare usually have, a big evil corporation. So you had to have your... So I think that was another way for them to work in the big evil corporation.
Yeah. Ooh, and the big evil corporation is, of course, what makes Idris into the Terminator, essentially. Yes.
And what... framed Deckard and made his sister think that he killed his whole MI16.
So there's a lot of there's framing stuff going on. There's weird airport stuff going on, which was very funny.
And the corporation was not taken down, so
no,
there may be future.
Very, very common with the Fast and Furious movies is that the villains never seem to be entirely defeated.
Yes.
Hardly ever. There's only like a 3 times or something like that, where the villains are actually fully defeated. I do want to ask the question though, who's the voice?
So I thought this was gonna be a big twist because the voice to me sounded like Ryan Reynolds. So I thought
Oh,
some of the, and I had heard there was like 3 different end credit scenes. So I thought Ryan Reynolds' goofy, fumbly, bumbly guy was gonna like kind of Kaiser Sose them and be like,
right,
no,
okay.
I'm the one, da 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 da. Because the voice just every time I heard it, it sounded like kind of his speech pattern. I don't know.
Yeah.
It sounded like Ryan Reynolds. So I thought those end credit scenes were going to reveal that it was really Ryan Reynolds the whole time and that he kind of Kaiser Sosa'd them and got away. And then maybe if this worked out and it made the money and people liked this franchise, they were going to maybe set up some sequels or something like that. So I definitely thought that it was Ryan Reynolds and that he was his character, his cameo character of that goofy agent was going to be revealed to be like the one behind the whole corporation and all of that. Because it totally, for me, it sounded like Ryan Reynolds. And I thought, oh yeah, I got it. I know it. I guessed this twist. And then didn't happen.
Hey.
But it's still good.
Exactly. There's no guarantee it's not Ryan Reynolds. And yeah, Ryan Reynolds is cameoing in this movie
Yes.
because David Leitch, and
Yes.
that was very fun.
Yes.
I knew that Ryan Reynolds was cameoing in this movie, simply because I guessed very confidently that Ryan Reynolds was
just simply
cameoing
mentioned to you that there were cameos, and yeah.
So I thought, oh, it's David Leitch. Is it Keanu? No, it's Ryan Reynolds, isn't it?
And we also get a cameo from The Rock's little friend, Kevin Hart.
The Kevin Hart stuff was. It's weird because the Ryan Reynolds stuff didn't take me out of the movie. The Kevin Hart stuff kind of did.
Yeah.
As soon as Kevin Hart turned up, it's like, okay, this is a Kevin Hart movie now, where Kevin Hart's on a plane, and he has to, he makes a mess of the plane, and he has to save the plane. That's what this movie is now. Oh no, wait, it's not. Kevin Hart's now gone away again.
Yes, but I guess it kind of played back later because, you think in these movies when these people are on the run, how do they get to all these other places? Like, they just show them kind of showing up there. They don't show them, like, sneaking on a plane or getting a contact that gets them there. So it was kind of
Except in this movie, they do show that.
Yes, they show that he's
them sneaking on the plane.
They set him up that he, like, can get people in and out of places and with aircrafts or whatever, and so later they give him a little call and he helps them get to Samoa.
Yeah, but I mean, in order to get to meet Kevin Hart in the first place on that one plane, they have to sneak onto a plane.
And they do, but they have their little disguises and fake names, and of course Shaw has to like set up Hobbs with a terrible fake name.
Which I will not spoil this terrible fake name.
And gets him tackled.
I'll tell you this though, it got a huge laugh in my particular screening. And
the outfit he's wearing and his little mustache and all of it was just very silly.
It was very silly. And by the way, I don't tend to like to go to the cinema when it's super busy. Recently, I've had to go at times when it's super busy. Now, this was another packed, I'm talking packed screening for Hobbs and Shaw.
Okay.
And sat next to me, and there's nothing wrong with this, because the kid was being very respectful, but there was a child sat next to me, maybe 8 years old. Should an 8-year-old be at this movie? For number one, should an 8-year-old be at this movie? But he was being fine. But he also had his shoes and socks off.
Oh no!
He was all barefoot, and this is one of those cinemas where the seats recline.
Oh.
And so he was all barefoot in the whole recliner seat, and
Like he was at home. He made himself
like
at home.
he
Like
did make himself at
family
home.
does.
He did, and I don't have anything. I don't have anything against this kid because he was being perfect. But I just don't like packed cinema screenings because stuff like that. I like being on my own
Well,
in a
I
cinema.
would think that's kind of odd for a Monday afternoon, but I
Discount
guess
Mondays, Jeannine.
we have discount
Discount
Tuesdays here.
Mondays.
We have discount Tuesdays here.
It's only at this one particular cinema that's a discount Monday, so
All our theaters
just
are discount
happens to be the
Tuesday.
closest one.
We my theater was not super packed only because I did see it like the premiere night on Thursday and it was like 10 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, my theater was not jam packed, but they got some pretty good laughs. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, there was a lot of laughs to this movie. It's a very funny movie. It is just a very, very silly movie. You've got to know that it's a silly movie. I was fully prepared for a silly movie, and I got a silly movie, so I came out of it really enjoying what I'd just seen.
Yes.
In
So-
near enough every way, apart from the fact that some of the action was a little too shaky, and some of the editing was a little bit choppy, but I didn't feel it too much. I understand what people are saying when they would say that, but I didn't feel that too much. I honestly, I really did have a blast.
So what would you say was your favorite action set piece?
The final one, the Samoa stuff. Absolutely. Like, getting all those cars to add more weight to pull the helicopter down
Oh yeah.
was great. That
And
was
right
that
on the
felt
right on the cliffside.
right
And
on
it's
the
not like
cliffside.
and you need to be careful with the helicopter because Vanessa Kirby is in the helicopter, so it's not
Exactly.
like you just want to like take down the helicopter because someone in your team is in there still. And like I saw like in the previews that they were gonna do that whole ritual thing and that they weren't gonna have any guns or anything. So I'm like, how are they gonna? So I like that they worked that into the plot where she has the glove and she can shut down their guns for like the 6 minutes or whatever it was. Because you're thinking how you saw in the trailer that they're not gonna have any guns or anything. They're just gonna have like hand weapons.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, I thought they tried to do something a little smart and which felt like things that you would see in like 90s action movies, 80s action movies, like
Yeah.
some magical tech that just answers all the plot issues.
Yeah. I love the fact that obviously Hobbs went back to Samoa after 25 years or something like that to see his family. And they kind of, his brother hates him.
Yes.
His brother Jonah, which is a very, Pacific Island name.
Luke.
I feel like, Luke isn't, but Jonah is a very Pacific Island name. But I liked all those guys. I wish they had more to do.
What to do, yes, because I mean that was such a big focal point and focus, and like I hear him talk about in interviews and stuff how he made sure that like all those actors were actual like Samoan descent and all that stuff. So I thought, okay, he's gonna give him a little something, but they got a lot of nothing.
Because that other wrestler who's Dwayne's cousin. Was it Roman Reigns? He was in there.
Yeah.
And he didn't do anything.
Yeah, just a few lines of dialogue, but it was all just kind of him and Jonah focused. So.
Yeah. But I like Jonah, to be honest. Mm-hmm. I thought he was a nice little character. I'd like to see him return if Hobbs is in need of, some sort of mechanic. Again, maybe Jonah can have some sort of beef with Tej and be all like, have a mechanic off.
Yeah.
And that'll be fun. There's still so many directions you can go with the Fast and Furious movies. It's really incredible to see where it came from to where it is now, in the fact that it's just endless because there's so much you can actually do in this whole world now.
Oh yeah, they've kind of built up a whole new world.
Except it's not Aladdin.
Except it's not Aladdin and there's no magic carpets. But it's still a whole new world that they can like maybe pull from if they want to, or
Yeah.
build off of if they want to just keep going in their own direction. And it harkens back to those old action movies that I grew up on and loved and just had so much fun with.
But yeah, also you get The Rock and all his fellow Samoans doing that hacker, and I don't know if it's called a hacker throughout all the islands, but I know it's called a hacker in like New Zealand. But I don't know. But it's a tribal dance. It's a tribal war dance. You know the kind of deal. So I always think they're really cool to watch. I really like them.
So I liked him incorporating his culture into it. That was really
exactly,
cool.
exactly. And then you get Shaw driving that
lighting the flames,
lighting all the flames behind Idris Elba's gang of weird. Well, I don't even know what they are. Weird corporation people.
Weird corporation-y people.
And I think the stupidest thing is the fact that there is these guns need an activation chip. But then if you get one activation chip, you can destroy all the guns.
Hack into all of them because now she's Tej and she could hack into all of them. Like, I mean, I get that they had to come up with something to make it so that they could use their hand-to-hand weapons for a good portion. Because, I was like, how are they going to do that? Like, I saw this in the preview. They have no guns. They just have these hand weapons, which, okay, it's cool. Street fight, island fight, or whatever. But how's that gonna work? So I guess they tried to come up with a way. I mean, it wasn't the most clever way, but yeah.
No,
like I said, it's that magic plot armor tech that just gets you where you need to go in the story.
Yeah, but it honestly makes sense to me. If I was a military leader, which I will never be and never want to be, because no, I would not agree to the creation of activational chipped weapons.
Yeah.
Because just to have regular stuff, because then it's not gonna break. Right? There's risk. There's actual risk of the whole system breaking.
Yeah, if one person can hack into all of your guns with one activation glove,
that's not okay.
Yeah, it's kind of dumb.
That's my thoughts on, warfare. If anybody wanted to know my thoughts on warfare. But no, I love all the Samoa stuff, all the stuff with Hobbs's family, all the action, the putting the cars, adding the weight to the helicopter, all the stuff where they fall down that waterfall into the storm and they're wet, and Hobbs and Shaw have to work together to beat up Idris Elba, even though I don't like to see Idris Elba get beaten up because Idris Elba's too great.
And then the company just says, no, we don't need you anymore, and just shuts him down. Like,
shuts him down like C-3PO.
Yeah, for real. It was really kind of sad. But,
and then he also falls off the edge of the cliff. So bye Idris, which is
Brixton. A shame. Boy, Brixton.
But yeah, somehow I don't feel like it's the last we've seen of. Is it Etion? Is the name of the corporation?
Something like that, yeah.
Somehow I feel like it's not the last we've seen of them because, god damn it, we need to know who that voice was. Was it Charlize Theron?
Maybe it's
maybe
Cypher.
Maybe it's Cypher. Maybe it is Ryan Reynolds.
How long ago was the events of Fate of the Furious? Because she got away.
Probably wasn't that long.
And she has drama with Shaw, so.
Yeah. I did have in my head that it was probably someone like Cypher. Mainly, maybe that is just my.
So was that your twist thought?
No, I mean not necessarily, but I just had that in my head, and maybe that is my fondness for Cypher as a villain, because considering she is the best villain in the whole franchise.
Okay.
And I think to be honest, I think Idris is fairly high on the franchise villain list because he's different, at least. Even if I think the character's like weird, Idris himself, and the fact that he's not just a regular old drug lord, puts him relatively high, maybe middle.
I could see that. I mean, it's Idris Elba, so it's like it's hard not to
Exactly.
like
It's hard
him
not
in
to
everything and anything.
It is.
And he's a
It's
pretty
really hard.
mans. He's part of the pretty mans. So I mean, hey,
I mean,
it's sometimes
admittedly,
nice to see men doing manly things. That's all.
admittedly,
That's
Idris
all.
Elba is an incredibly handsome human being.
He is.
He is definitely the best looking man in the movie.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not
The
nasty.
Ooh. However, Ryan Reynolds is in the movie.
Yes.
That is a conversation. Idris Elba or Ryan Reynolds, they're both kind of goofy.
But not in this movie.
This is a dilemma. No, just Ryan Reynolds is goofy in this movie. There's something about Ryan Reynolds as well. His speech, like you said before about his speech pattern and how you think the voice is Ryan Reynolds because of the speech pattern. It is so distinctive.
And it's like he did the voice of the Juggernaut in Deadpool 2, so that's kind of why I was like, well, maybe.
Right, yeah, that is true.
So,
Maybe
and
it
then
is.
like I thought maybe they're making him such a goof because he's actually gonna like come out, like I said, Kaiser so say and be like the evil mastermind of this corporation.
Hey, maybe something does get revealed in a later movie.
So, I mean, do you think
Right.
there'll be another movie based off
Another
of what
Hobbs
you've
and
seen
Shaw movie?
and how they left it? Do you think there will be another Hobbs and Shaw movie?
I think that there could potentially. I'd like to see what happens with them, if anything, in Fast 9.
Okay.
Because presumably both of them are going to be in that again.
Well, I
Right?
heard Tyrese was crying again, so we'll see
Well,
if The Rock even
Tyrese
wants to work with him.
Well, wasn't Tyrese being like courteous though and be like,
He
I
was
wish.
like when the movie was coming out, he posted a picture of them and was like, "Oh, hey, I know we've had our differences, but just want to wish you luck on a great premiere and blah 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 whatever." And then I guess today he posted some comments about saying the movie was a failure, and of course the movie didn't do good because I mean I guess it had a $200 million budget, and in its first weekend it only made $60 million. Which it still hasn't been released in China yet, and it's only the first weekend. So
I thought I saw that it made like, has it not made like 180 worldwide?
I think like the opening premiere, like couple days, it was like 60 million. So at this point, maybe it's made that.
It's not gonna fail.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was calling it a failure and saying,
Oh,
well,
for
of
God's
course,
sake,
of
Tyrese.
course it didn't do good because, when people have their Thanksgiving dinner, they want the regular stuff. They don't want some weird new recipe. They want the original recipe. So, he basically just implying that it's not going to do as well as the fast movies because it's a different thing and it's missing the family and blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, he was throwing shade and being a little bitch.
Look, I agree with him in the sense that it is missing the whole crew. It does. It doesn't. It doesn't entirely feel like a Fast and Furious movie without.
But I think he wants it to do bad so that he could be like, ha ha, see it.
So he wants his Roman Pierce movie.
He wants his Roman Pierce movie.
And hell, he might end up getting his Roman Pierce
But
movie.
I love
some
him as
point.
Roman Pierce, but I don't want to see a Roman Pierce movie. Nobody wants to see a Roman Pierce movie. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, yeah. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens in Fast and Furious 9.
Yeah, so we'll see, but he's.
And then to see
I
if
mean,
we maybe do get another Hobbs and Shaw spin-off movie too.
that reveals Ryan Reynolds and Cypher to be the villains of the story.
Or it's Mr. Nobody.
Yeah, I mean, they mentioned Mr. Nobody. That was the closest we got.
They do. I was expecting Mr. Nobody to turn up. Damn it, Kurt
Yes,
Russell.
at
What are you
least
doing?
him. But yeah,
What's Kurt Russell doing? Why is Kurt Russell so busy?
I don't know. He's busy
That he
being
can't
Santa.
just...
He's probably making another Santa next Christmas movie for Netflix for this year.
Oh, probably. Is Kurt Russell in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? I feel like he is.
He is.
That's what he was doing.
Perhaps.
That's what he was doing. That's why Kurt Russell's so busy. Kurt Russell was also in something else. He's been in a lot of things. I don't know what I was just thinking of, but
Is it even remotely related to what we're talking about?
no, it isn't. But yeah, so yeah, I guess to start maybe wrapping up. I feel like we've said a bunch of stuff. We've probably said near enough all that we feel like we should probably need to say about Hobbs and Shaw.
So.
But was there any standout moment for you? Was there any particular favourite Hobbs and Shaw moment for Jeannine?
Just Vanessa Kirby. She was amazing. I loved seeing her kick some ass and keep up with these two kind of dominating guys. Yeah, the London chase was kind of cool where he grabs that guy and throws him into a wall, and then she's kind of looking at him like, oh, that was kind of impressive.
Oh, and there is that little romantic
Little romance
thing
between the two of them.
them.
Yeah, so that was kind of cute because, The Rock, it seems like he doesn't really give himself scenes like that very much because
he's not a romantic lead.
Yeah, like he gives himself the scenes where the girls are checking him out, but he's never really interested. So to see him kind of actually put it in the story that he gets himself a little kissy face, I was like, okay. And he did the same thing in Jumanji, so I was kind of like, okay,
Maybe he's changing.
He's embracing that he is kind of a sex symbol because, yeah, like in a lot of the movies that he produced, he always kind of put that nod in there of like all these women like checking him out, but him not really. Him kind of being this weird asexual thing. Not like if you watched Rampage, like, yeah, like this woman is totally hitting on him and asking him out, and he's just like kind of oblivious to it or just kind of ignores it. And then at the end, like the female lead of the movie with him, Naomi Harris, like they're just friends at the end. Like they just decide to be friends. Like
you could do a lot worse than Naomi Harris.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. So it's just like, in movies, most movies where you would think they would get together or have some kind of romantic thing, they're just like, we're friends. So I always thought maybe, I don't know if it was something with his girlfriend didn't want him to be like doing that, or maybe he just felt like out of respect he just didn't really need to have that in his films. So then kind of seeing him do it more recently, I was like, okay, he's just kind of leaning into maybe what people want to see and kind of embracing the fact that, yeah, he is seen as somewhat of a sex symbol to people. So
yeah,
and it wasn't gratuitous or anything like that. It was like a nice
even
little
though
moment and a nice little flirty moment, and
it was a very, very nice moment on that hillside in Samoa.
Yeah. But even just like the whole movie, he's talking about how she's so pretty and talking to his daughter about, she's way too pretty. And, they have their little back and forth when he's like interrogating her. Yeah.
I do like, I have throughout them, I do like Hobbs and his daughter and their whole father-daughter dynamic too. I really like that.
Yeah.
And you get quite a bit more of that in this one, which is really nice. But yeah, even though I think it's slightly strange to see Dwayne Johnson kiss someone because I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, I told you, like, he doesn't really do that much. Like, I think, like, the only movie I can think of where he actually had, like, a love scene was Walking Tall, when he, like, first really got into acting.
Yeah,
and then maybe I never saw the Scorpion King, so I don't know. He probably had maybe something in the Scorpion King, but that was him just starting out. So after those movies, like, I don't think he had ever really had another love scene that I could remember. So yeah, I don't know.
Reminds me, yeah, you always remember when you see particular actors get all romantic for the first time.
Yeah.
That's got to be one of them, because it's just, oh, okay, The Rock does that now.
Yeah, it was weird to go back and watch Walking Tall and see him have, like, this whole, like, love scene, and I'm like, what? Yeah, it's a little odd.
Fair play to Dwayne Johnson. He crushes it as always. Jason Statham is wonderfully likable, and I want to continue to see wonderfully likable Jason Statham, please, for the love of God.
You can just tell everybody's having fun.
Yes, you can. And that is exactly what all the audience members are doing with this movie, too.
Yes.
Which is perfect. So, yeah.
Nuts and fun. Nuts and
fun. Nutty,
See,
fun.
You got your singing in for the people.
Jeannine, I think
Morgan.
that's going to do it for our conversation on Hobbs and Shaw. However, there is one thing left to do before we close out this Fast and Furious series. It is, of course, announce the next series, because some people might think if we don't do that, we'll just end forever, and we're not going to do that. So, Jeannine, without further ado, I close out the Fast and Furious series. It has been perhaps my most surprising and definitely very, very enjoyable series of Morgan Hasn't Seen. But next up, we have another one that you are very, very excited about, because you have a huge grin, a huge stupid grin on your face and right now, and that's great. Jeannine, go ahead.
So, for our next series, our 5th series on Morgan Hasn't Seen, we will be doing teen movies.
Now, you may be thinking to yourself, Morgan, surely you have seen some teen movies. And you'd be right, yes, I have. I've seen my own teen movies that came out mostly in the late 2000s. This is not those movies.
You've seen Clueless.
I've seen Clueless. I have seen Clueless.
10 Things I Hate About You.
That is true.
Yes. But you have not seen She's All That.
No.
Cruel Intentions.
No.
Varsity Blues.
No.
Bring It On.
No.
And I may throw a poll in there. We'll see. I don't know. Because there's just so many wonderful films that Morgan hasn't seen. So we may do a poll, or I may just pick another film that...
We're doing a bonus movie?
Yes, and our bonus film will be a culmination of all these films.
It will not be a new release?
No. Should we tell them the bonus film now, or should we just wait?
Well, I'm just... because, of course, all the bonus movies so far have been new releases.
Yes.
This will not be a new release.
Well, I mean, our John Wick was not a new release. Our bonus was Point Break.
No, yes, I suppose, but we still had a new release in that series.
Yes. So no new releases in this series. This will be different in the sense that it's not a franchise. Yeah. It's not a franchise, and we're not leading up to any kind of new release.
We're just doing it because Jeannine wants to force me to watch these movies that she
movies that I
loves unabashedly.
Yes, that I grew up on and are part of my generation of films. They're in my zeitgeist of film knowledge for sure. So yeah. So should we keep the bonus a secret, or should we tell the people?
I think you should just go ahead and tell the people the bonus movie.
So yes, so we will be doing teen films, and our bonus will be the culmination, the silly, ridiculous culmination of all these teen films. Not another teen movie.
I mean, should I be excited?
Yes, you should be.
Jeannine thinks I should be excited. Does everybody else think I should be excited? Who knows what everybody else thinks, Jeannine?
I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. Maybe you'll actually get a bot message this time of somebody giving you their opinion of what they think. But yes,
I would like a regular message from a regular human being, please.
Of the 90s and early 2000s teen movies. So yeah, I will think on it, and maybe we'll do a poll for another movie that we're going to do in this teen series. But for sure, we will do She's All That, Bring It On, Varsity Blues, and Cruel Intentions.
And none of those are Amanda Bynes movies.
No, I'm afraid not.
Which is a shame, because I really like Amanda Bynes movies. She's the Man is great.
Yeah.
Even that one that I now forget the name of, where she comes to Britain.
Yes, I think I maybe made you watch that one, so you
Which
can
is,
see all the lovely British stereotypes they do in that one.
What's that one
What
called?
a Girl Wants.
What a Girl Wants.
And I'm pretty sure they don't even play that song, What a Girl Wants, in the actual movie. Missed opportunity.
Oh, well, I'm sad that I don't get to see any Amanda Bynes movies, but yay, James Van Der Beek, I guess. He's cool.
He's cool. And we get Paul Walker as well in 2 of these movies.
That's nice. We'll carry on Paul Walker.
If a movie that I'm considering for the poll makes it on to the list, that'll be another movie with Paul Walker in it.
I mean,
so I may
over.
just pick it, but I may just give the people, if they want it, a poll choice of one more teen movie to add to this.
Jeannine, I think you should give the people a choice. I think the people want a choice.
Okay.
I think the people want a choice. But, yeah, they don't get a choice on the fact that that is going to be our new series.
Yes.
And they don't get a choice on the fact that this is where we end the Fast and Furious series, because, well, we can't actually go anymore until Fast 9 comes out.
Yes.
And we're not going to do it again, because,
no,
I've seen them all at this point. And that's not the point of the show.
Well, are you excited about teen movies, Morgan? How do you feel about that?
I'm excited about teen movies up to a point, because I do like some teen movies. It really varies, though. Okay. I can either really enjoy something or be completely put off. So we may find in this next series that I love a couple of these movies and absolutely hate a couple of these movies.
They play into some tropes for sure. But they're just of my generation, and I really love them. So
exactly. And that's the point. You force me to watch movies that you really like. That's the whole point that I haven't seen.
Plus, you won't really get not another teen movie if you don't see these specific ones. So,
see, you've thought it out well.
I did.
You've thought it out very well, Jeannine. That is going to do it for another episode of Morgan Hasn't Seen. What have you got going on? Where can everybody find you? What is happening with Jeannine?
You can find me at Jeannine Debean on Twitter and Instagram. Yeah, you can find my articles, Machine Mondays, on triviasd.com, where I talk about various Schmodown related topics. You can see me as Jeannine the Machine on the Schmodown. We've got some team and singles tournaments coming up, so maybe I might be in those. So check that out on the Movie Trivia Schmodown YouTube channel. Like and share and subscribe and do all the things. And I have a TeePublic shop. At G9 Design on TeePublic. So get yourself some Morgan Hasn't Seen merch, some It's a Wonderful Podcast merch. And check out my Patreon at Jeannine LC. And you can join and help me get to the Schmodown and help me create my art. And you'll get fun little things and videos and reviews and all kinds of fun little things. So, yeah, that's me.
Go and do all of that.
I'm a machine with feelings.
You are a machine.
I know you don't like machines with feelings like Idris Elba, but I'm a machine with feelings.
It's not the fact that he's a machine with feelings that I don't like. It's more the fact that he's a weird, he has those weird, he has the weird ability to do the whole, judge the speed of a punch with his eyes.
Okay, well I can't.
It's more that.
Okay.
I like emotion. I like my human machines clearly because you're here. So what does that tell you?
Continue, Morgan.
Thank you, Jeannine. Yes, you can find this show on the It's a Wonderful podcast feed, which is the very podcast feed you are on right now, where we also have the main show, It's a Wonderful Podcast, with me and currently a variety of somewhat rotating guest hosts, and we always talk about a nice old movie on that show, and it's very fun. It's the show that I am competent on because I know what I'm talking about when it comes to old movies, and I don't tend to know what I'm talking about when it comes to, slightly newer movies. And by slightly newer, I mean the 1990s. As Jeannine knows and will certainly find out during teen movie series. But yes, please go and check out the main show, It's a Wonderful Podcast, which is up new episodes of that every Friday. And check out more episodes of this show Morgan Hasn't Seen, where it is always me and Jeannine, and Jeannine makes her fair share of appearances over on It's a Wonderful Podcast as well. So if you really like Jeannine, you can go and listen to the main show too, or just listen to every single episode of it of Morgan Hasn't Seen. Particularly this current Fast and Furious series, which has been a blast, and I'm very happy that I can now have full conversations about the Fast and Furious movies. I'm very happy about that. So thank you again, Jeannine, like I always like to say at the end of every series, thank you for forcing me to watch these movies, because you do force me to watch these movies under threat of death.
You're welcome. Remember this moment.
Thank you. Remember this moment and this moment
when
exactly.
We're watching Mission Impossible.
We're not watching Mission Impossible. I refuse. You can find the show on Twitter at It's a Wonderful One, where you can see all the updates for this show and the main show. Well, get in to talk to us on Twitter. Have conversations about whatever movie we're talking about on the main show, whatever movies we may be talking about on Morgan Hasn't Seen. Use the hashtags, just the name of the show, with the hashtags there. Hashtags are fun. I like hashtags. But you can also follow me on Twitter at the Purple Dome with a 3 instead of the E in the because, Jeannine.
3 is the magic number. Nuts and fun.
What was that one? What was that last bit?
Nuts and fun.
Nuts and fun. Nuts and fun. Why do I feel like I know exactly the final words that are going to be on this episode? Why do I just have a feeling? But yes, you can also follow me on Instagram at @thepurpledon with no 3 or any nonsense like that. This has been Morgan Hasn't Seen. I am Morgan. I have now seen the Fast and Furious movies, but god damn it, I have not seen all those teen movies, so we have to keep going. That is Jeannine. She will force me to watch all those teen movies in our next series, which is starting next Wednesday. If you are listening to this on the current week it comes out, if you are not, then it might already be up there, so just go and listen to it anyway. Because supporting people is nice, Jeannine. Did you know that?
It's nice to be nice. It's nice to be nice.
It is nice to be nice, and it's nice to be friends, which is why Hobbs and Shaw become friends. It's also nice to... We didn't even talk about Idris Elba's weird silver teeth. Okay. That is it for this episode of Morgan Hasn't Seen. Jeannine, let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Bye. No.
Nuts and fun.